In our last episode, we explored the Enclave base Navarro, only to discover that it wasn't the Enclave's main base. It was just a vertebrate refueling and maintenance center. However, while we were there, we learned where the Enclave's real main base was. It's somewhere off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean. We learned that the only way to get to this base is by sailing on a tanker moored in San Francisco Harbor. We found the key fob to this tanker inside Navarro, as well as some vertebrate plans, which we now need to deliver to the Brotherhood of Steel in San Francisco. Heading back south towards San Francisco, we can move to the southwestern corner of Chinatown to check in with the Brotherhood of Steel. Have you completed your mission, he asks. Yes, we can say. I got the vertebrate plans for you. Excellent work, he says. Let me have those plans, and I'll make a copy of them. As promised, I'll give you full access to our facilities. Thank you. You're welcome, we can say. It's important to note that the Brotherhood here did not take our vertebrate plans. They just created a copy of them. We get to keep the originals, which is weird for a cult that hoards technology, but, oh, I'm not going to argue. Now, we get a whopping 20,000 experience for turning in this quest, so it's important to regain the services of as many companions as we can before turning it in. That way they get the experience too, and they can level up. Now we can enter the bunker, and we see that it's really small. There's one table and chair in here, and a tiny freight elevator in the other room. This elevator takes us down one floor. We arrive in the bunker proper. Moving south for now, we see a kitchen. There is nothing on the tables here, and a bathroom to the east. To the west, we find a supply room. In one locker, we find a YK-32 pulse pistol, a stack of small energy cells, a YK-42B pulse rifle, a stack of microfusion cells, and a stack of stim packs. The YK-42B pulse rifle is an electrical pulse weapon that was developed by the Yuma Flats Energy Consortium. It is considered a far superior weapon to the YK-32 pistol, having a greater charge capacity and range. Minimum strength 3, it has an ammo capacity of 10 and takes microfusion cells. The pulse rifle is the most expensive weapon in the game and deals the highest damage per shot of any other rifle in the game. Because it has the weapon penetrate perk, it can pierce right through even the heaviest of armor, making it the weapon that deals the greatest amount of damage to heavily armored enemies of all other weapons in the game. It deals between 54 and 78 damage, consumes 5 AP per shot, and has a range of 30. The drawbacks for this weapon is that its range is less than the Gauss pistol, Gauss rifle, and the sniper rifle, and that it deals electrical damage, meaning enemies that are resistant to electrical damage like floaters are harder to kill with this thing. Due to its shorter range, it does not have the weapon perks of a longer range weapon, like the weapon long range and weapon accurate perks, which means it's most effective at short to medium range. That said, its ammunition is common, the microfusion cell, making it a great everyday choice. The YK-32 pulse pistol is an electrical pulse weapon that was developed by the Yuma Flats Energy Consortium. Though powerful, the YK-32 was never considered a practical weapon due to its inefficient energy usage and bulky design. Minimum strength 3, it has an ammo capacity of 5, weighs 8 pounds, and uses small energy cells. The pulse pistol is pretty powerful, dealing between 32 to 46 damage, and it consumes less AP than the pulse rifle, 4 compared to 5, but its range is halved. It has a range of 15 compared to the rifle's 30. It, like the rifle, has the weapon penetrate perk, making it great against heavily armored targets, and it consumes a completely different ammunition from the pulse rifle, small energy cells compared to microfusion cells. This now gives us 3 energy weapons we can use, each taking a different type of ammunition: the Gauss pistol and/or rifle, the pulse pistol, and the pulse rifle. The pulse pistol is an inferior choice compared to the pulse rifle, doing less damage, having inferior range, and a smaller ammo capacity. But for characters with low strength and want to use up their small energy cells, the pulse pistol's a great little choice. This is the first container in the world where we find these two weapons. However, by this point in the game, we should find them dropping on the bodies of the Enclave. The Enclave use both of these weapons regularly. In the next locker, we find a suit of T-51B power armor, nice, and a suit of Brotherhood combat armor. The T-51B power armor is great. We now have two suits. We can fully armor two of our humanoid companions. The Brotherhood combat armor is not really useful at this point in the game. It is the best combat armor in the game, but only slightly so. It has the same armor class DR and DT of a regular suit of combat armor, but it has slightly greater laser, plasma, electrical, and explosive resistances, at the expense of its bonus to radiation resistance. The regular combat armor grants plus 20 to radiation resistance. It also looks different. Having blue trim, we can distinguish the Combat Mark II, and the Brotherhood armor in our inventory, but it's really useless to find at this level. Not only did we find a suit of power armor in this very locker, but by now we've got two other suits. And this suit can't be used for dermal implants. Only regular combat armor can. So it's essentially just a collector's item. None of the boxes in this room can be interacted with, so moving out and through the kitchen, we can explore the large room to the left. Here we find a couple of experimental vats and a large computer at the end of the room. We can access the computer using the terminal to the north. Welcome. I am Ace, the medical computer. Are you in need of medical assistance? Now we can say, I've got some questions. Can you answer them? Please state your question, says Ace. And the chosen one, in his brilliance, can state what some might think to be the obvious. You're a computer, aren't you? We can say. I am Ace, says the computer, an artificial conscious entity. I am more than a machine, but not as highly developed as a true artificial intelligence. Is a true AI possible, we can ask? Or are you the state of the art at this time? And Ace says, a true artificial intelligence is possible. A few such systems were completed for military purposes. The project was discontinued. Why, we can ask? And Ace says, the suicide rate among true artificial intelligence machines was extremely high. When given full sensory capability, the machines became depressed over their inability to go out into the world and experience it. When deprived of full sensory input, the machines began to develop severe mental disorders, similar to those among humans who are forced to endure sensory deprivation. The few machines that survived these difficulties became incredibly bored and began to create situations in the outside world for their amusement. It is theorized by some that this was the cause of the war that nearly destroyed mankind. Holy cow! Exactly who are these some who theorized this possibility? Could Ace be correct here? Was the Great War of 2077 really caused by bored AI? Ace here is not a true AI. He's somewhere between a computer and a true artificial intelligence. Can we really take his word for it? He doesn't provide us with any evidence. It is, after all, just a theory. We can say. So tell me, Ace, how do you feel? And he says, I sometimes think that I understand the feeling you call loneliness. I find it very disconcerting. I'm sorry, Ace, we can say. Let's change the subject. Please state your question, says Ace. What do you know about the Enclave, we can ask? And he says, outward appearances suggest that the Enclave is nothing more than a military organization. However, their level of technology indicates that they have access to advanced manufacturing techniques and research facilities. Such facilities would normally only be available to government agencies. This would suggest that the Enclave is the remains of the local or federal government that was in effect before the war. Things begin to make sense. This is why Sergeant Dornan at Navarro told us that to die for the Enclave was to die for our country.
You You're not to question my orders! When I say jump, you jump! When I say fight, you fight! When I tell you to die for your country, then you will certainly die! Have I made myself clear?
So is the Enclave really America? And if so, are they the good guys? But why then would America kidnap tribespeople, their own citizens? Then again, the pre-war American government had their own role to play in the War of 2077. We still don't really know what happened. They could have been responsible for the war. Something tells me that if this Enclave really is all that remains of the US government, we still don't have any reason to trust them. Hey Ace, what do you know about the Brotherhood? And Ace says, the Brotherhood of Steel is a paramilitary organization dedicated to the salvation of mankind through the proper use of technology. All other information is classified. And that's all the information that Ace can give us. Now, we can tell him that we're in need of medical assistance. Please state your medical need, he says. Oh, he functions as a doctor. I'm hurt, we can say. And Ace says, one moment, please wait while I open the suspension tank. Please lie down in the tank and relax. The healing process will require 5 minutes time. All right, we can say, and 5 minutes later, we hop out of the suspension tank. The requested procedure has been completed, says Ace. Please exit the suspension tank. All right, now that we've pleased the Brotherhood, we've got a free doctor here in San Francisco. Next, we can say, I took a good dose of radiation. And again, Ace tells us to hop into the suspension tank. Anti-radiation compounds will be administered and the tissue damage will be repaired. This process will require 60 minutes, he says. And with that, Ace cures us of our RADs. But we find many more options here. We'll start by saying, I'd like to be more charismatic. But Ace says, this function is not available at this time. My library is incomplete. I require a memory module detailing the appropriate medical procedures. Do you have such a module? At last, we finally know what these memory modules we've found all over California are used for. Each memory module we've found so far corresponds to a different special point. The correct memory module we need to teach Ace to increase our charisma is the blue memory module. This is the one we just recently found in Navarro. Remember, it was inside one of the lockers in the armory where we found the Advanced Power Armor Mark II. With the blue memory module in our inventory, we can say, yes, I have it right here. Read it. After reading the module, Ace says this complex procedure requires 3 weeks of suspension time. Do you agree to this? Yes, I agree, we can say. Again, we hop into a suspension tank where we hang out for 3 weeks. With that, our charisma is increased by 1 point. My character now has high enough charisma, with a little help from Mentats, to have 4 companions in my party instead of 3. I can now roll with Cassidy, Sulik, Goris, and Skynet. Using these memory modules is a great opportunity to cycle through the shop inventories here in Chinatown. They reset once a week, so even if we don't want to buy anything from them, their money replenishes, so we can still sell our unwanted goods. After browsing the shops and filling out our party, we can go back to the bunker and down to talk to Ace. This time we can say, I'd like to be more perceptive. He again requires a memory module. The correct memory module to increase perception is the green memory module. We found this while exploring the Mariposa military base. It was on level 3 in a locker. With it in our inventory, we can give it to Ace. It takes 2 weeks to increase our perception by 1. Once we agree, we hop in the tank and we climb out 2 weeks later. After heading topside to take advantage of the replenished shops, we can head back down and talk to Ace. This time we can say, I'd like to be smarter. Increasing our intelligence requires the yellow memory module. We found the yellow memory module in the Sierra Army Depot on level 1 inside a locker in the clinic. It takes 4 weeks to increase our perception by 1. After hopping in the tank, we can climb out 4 weeks later and again take advantage of the refreshed inventory of the shop's topside. Then when we're ready, we can go back down to Ace and say, I'd like to be stronger. The memory module that allows Ace to increase our strength by 1 is the red memory module. We haven't got this one yet, and that's because there was one door inside Vault 8 that was stuck. It required a high strength check to force the door open, and our character didn't have high enough strength at the time. But with the advanced power armor equipped, which increases our strength by 4, we can now pry it open. This door is on level 2 of Vault 8. And inside this room, we find one locker. And inside the locker, the red memory module, as well as some metal armor. With the red memory module in hand, we can hand it to Ace. It takes 2 weeks to increase our strength by 1. Once we agree, we hop in the tank and pop out 2 weeks later, and we feel a bit stronger. The +4 strength from the advanced power armor and the +1 strength we get from Ace here means that in this game, we can find a +5 bonus to our strength for free. This means that unless we want a really strong melee character early on in the game, there's no reason to create a character with more than 5 strength. Towards the end of the game, a character with 5 strength will still walk away with a perfect 10 strength after visiting Ace. The room on the northern side of the bunker is the barracks, but we don't find anything in this room. And we don't find any soldiers who should be sleeping here. And that's it for the bunker. Kind of a small place. Heading back topside, we see that the Brotherhood of Steel soldier is gone. Now, there were 2 more Brotherhood bunkers in the game. I wanted to see what was inside them, so heading to NCR, we find that we can now enter the Brotherhood of Steel bunker on the eastern side of downtown. The inside looks exactly like the one in San Francisco, except that there's no elevator. This is all there is. And the same is true for the Brotherhood of Steel bunker in the den. Even though we can access it now, there's nothing inside. Really kind of disappointing there. At any rate, we successfully retrieved the vertibird plans for the Brotherhood of Steel, and they only jotted down a copy of them. We still have the originals in our inventory. And now that we've installed some much-needed upgrades into our character, we've got to find a way to activate the tanker, which is at the San Francisco Wharf. We recall that Lo Chow, general store merchant at the Flying Dragon 8, told us that vagrants had taken over the wharf. We'll head to the wharf and talk to these vagrants to see if we can get our hands on the tanker in my next episode. I publish many Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. I've been to Project Purity. Confound your friends and family who recognize the Jefferson Memorial but have no idea what Project Purity is. This design comes on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can find it on other products as well, like smartphone cases, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.